Before we get into it, I want to talk to you about something that's both special and important, and that is navigating tricky conversations, particularly tricky conversations when it comes to sexual health. And the reason that I want to talk about that is because I just released a tiny book called How Do I Tell Them I Have Herpes? And I know that's super specific, but here's the thing. The book is also about having vulnerable, sometimes scary conversations about sexual health with your partner or potential partner. Now, I want to drop a few very eye-opening statistics on you right quick. Did you know, and I suspect that you didn't, but did you know that between 2018 and 2022, syphilis rates increased by more than 55% among adults 55 and older? 55%. And in that same age group, cases of gonorrhea rose nearly fivefold between 2012 and 2022. And chlamydia cases tripled among adults age 55 and over in the past decade. And so I knew this based on my lived experience, but also with the clients that I work with. I knew that middle-aged people weren't talking about sex, but these statistics just confirm what I thought, right? And that's one of the major reasons that I wrote this book. Now, incidentally, they actually don't track herpes cases over 49, which seems counterintuitive. But the reason they don't is because a lot of the time people already have it and they've acquired it under 49. So there aren't specific statistics around cases of herpes rising. But because I know that the herpes stigma is so significant, that is the reason the book centers herpes. But whether you test positive for herpes or not, this book is an important thing to know because it's going to help you to have these conversations. And an exciting part is everyone who buys the book is invited to my upcoming Safer Sex Conversation Masterclass. And in that class, we're going to be diving deep into how to talk about sex more openly and honestly with your existing partner or with a new potential partner. Because let's face it, great sex starts with great conversations. So in the masterclass, I'm going to cover everything from how to bring up STI status to getting tested and sharing results. We're also going to be talking about discussing boundaries and desires. It's going to be all about empowering you to have these conversations with confidence and grace, because honesty and open communications are the foundation for any relationship. So this book and this masterclass are designed to give you the tools you need to build that foundation. And you can only get an invitation to the class if you buy the book. So head over to staceyherrera.com/herpes book for more information on purchasing the book and registering for the class. Don't sleep. This is important stuff. Now, let's begin. Let's begin with a question. Who are you? One of the common themes that I see amongst particularly midlife women is this idea or fear of losing yourself in relationships. And I totally get it. You know, you're juggling being a partner, a mother, a friend, a career woman, and all the other stuff. But it's so easy to get misplaced, right? It's easy to get misplaced and disconnected from yourself when you are wearing so many different hats. But let me just make it clear. You can't lose what you've never found, right? And I know that's cringy, but stay with me. I'm going somewhere. Stay with me. See, many of us enter relationships without a solid grasp on who we are at our core. We get so tied up with trying to be who everyone else needs us to be. So much so that we just don't take the time to figure out who we are if we stripped away like all those identities and all those roles, right? But then we wonder why we feel lost, why we feel unfulfilled, or how we get stuck in relationships that don't light us up. It just is a matter of not having a North Star, like not having a compass. Like the core of who you are is that North Star, and it is the compass. So today we're going to start the process of excavation. We are going to dig into and uncover the you that's been buried under years of shoulds and expectations. And I've got a simple, well, not simple, it's not simple, but I've got a 5-step process for you. And I want you to commit to really, really sitting into each step, okay? Let's do this. So, step 1, get curious. The first thing that we want to do is approach this like you are getting to know a really fascinating new friend. Like, what do you like? What lights you up? What pisses you off? And don't censor yourself. Be like really radically honest in this, right? Because here's where it gets juicy. For each thing that you discover about yourself, I want you to ask, is this true? Or is this something I've been told about myself? See, we all have these stories that we tell about ourselves and what we're capable of, but a lot of those stories are not even ours. They've been handed down to us by our family, by society, by our communities, by our cultures, from past experiences, but they don't always belong to us. And so maybe you've always thought of yourself as not a creative person. And maybe you feel like that because in 3rd grade, the teacher said your paintings were messy, right? Or maybe you believed that you're bad with money because that's the story that your ex used to tell you. And that was how they controlled your purse, right? But now it's time to question those stories. So I want you to take out a journal and just start writing. What beliefs do you hold about yourself? And then where do those beliefs come from? Are they serving you? And if not, what would it look like to let them go? So this is all about, again, approaching this with curiosity, the same kind of curiosity that you would bring to getting to know someone that you've never met before, a new friend or a potential new boo or whatever, right? Just be curious, unemotional, so don't judge what comes up, and just write it down. This is just data. You're just collecting data. Step 2, uncover your core values. Now, we've shaken up these beliefs, right, with step 1. So now we want to dig into what really matters to you. And I'm talking about your core values, the principles that guide your decision and define what's truly important in your life. And this, again, isn't about you thinking what should be important, but what actually resonates deep in your bones. Is it freedom? Freedom is one of my favorite feelings. But is it security? Is it a sense of adventure or creativity or connection? Like, what are your core values? So here's a little exercise for you. Imagine you're at the end of your life and you're looking back. What would make you feel like your life was well lived? What would make you feel like you lived as your true self? And then, what would you regret not prioritizing? Those questions will help you uncover what's important to you. And it's also going to really help you understand yourself a little bit better. Again, this process of getting intimate with yourself is so that you can have a connection with your internal compass. And this is going to help you to navigate, the tough decisions. And when you're clear on your values, suddenly, miraculously, it becomes easier to say no to things that don't align and almost thoughtless to say yes to the things that do, right? Step 3, explore your desires. And I just want to add a caveat to that. Explore your desires without censoring. This is where it gets fun, right? And maybe a little bit scary, but I want to give you the permission that you might be struggling to give yourself to want what you want. No judgments, no buts, none of that. That's not practical stuff. Just give yourself permission to want what you want. It doesn't mean you have to do anything about it, but just get clear, like, on what lights you up, what feels good, what do you want to go after? Like, what do you want out of your life? What do you want out of your relationships? What do you want out of your career? What do you want your day-to-day existence to be like? Just allow yourself to dream as big as you want to dream. And maybe you've always wanted to learn, I don't know, maybe you always wanted to learn how to tango. I have a client that's actually doing that. But what if you, instead of pursuing tangoing, is that a word? Anyways, it should be. But maybe instead of pursuing tango lessons, maybe you've always told yourself that you are too old, or you're too uncoordinated, or you don't have any rhythm, or whatever the story is. Or maybe you've had a dream of, I have another client that currently is imagineering a trip to another continent, and she's always wanted to go there. But so maybe you too want to go travel someplace that seems so far away, but you've kind of pushed that aside because maybe there's a story about it not being important or it not being affordable. So whatever it is, write it down. Every wild, impractical, thrilling desire, write it down. Don't worry about how you're going to make it happen. Don't worry about what other people are going to think. Just let yourself want what you want. Again, this is information. Desires are data too. Desires are information. They tell us about who we are and what we need to feel in order to experience aliveness, right? And fulfillment. And you don't have to act on every desire, but acknowledging that you want it is powerful. Sometimes acknowledging that you want it is enough to feel fulfilled. So just play with this. Just play with this. Step 4, create space for you. I know that if you're like me, on some days you barely have enough time to pee, right? So how are you going to create space for yourself? Well, I get it. Between, work and family and all the other obligations, sometimes alone time feels like a luxury, but it's not a luxury. It's a necessity. You cannot hear your own voice if all you're ever surrounded by is the noise of other people's needs and expectations. So I want you to get creative about how to create this space and time for yourself. Even if all you can squeeze out is 15 minutes of quiet reflection to help tune in with yourself, take the 15 minutes. Even if that looks like waking up, 15 minutes earlier, or staying up 15 minutes later. Maybe it looks like 15 minutes in the car on your way home from work. Take the time to just check in with yourself. And then maybe, if you're adventurous, and I hope you are, maybe once a month you can carve out a half or a full day for yourself, right? To have a date, to do something that lights you up, to just prioritize you. And this isn't about being selfish. This is self-preservation, because the cliche, you can't pour from an empty cup, but you also can't be your authentic self if you never give yourself the space to figure out who that self is, right? Step 5, practice courageous authenticity. And this is the final step, and it's probably the biggest step, but showing up as your true self in your relationships and in your life is the best gift you can ever give you. And that means practicing saying no to things, again, that don't align with your values and don't align with your desires. It also means expressing what you want and what you need, even if you feel uncomfortable. It means making choices based on who you are and not who others expect you to be. So you can start small, maybe asking your partner to give you an hour in the evening, if you've got young kids, to give you an hour to yourself, even on the weekends. Maybe in the evening isn't realistic, but asking your partner to help you stretch your time. Maybe it's This came up in a conversation with one of my close friends recently, but maybe it's drawing a line with a friend who seems to dump their emotional stuff on you, right? Or maybe it's taking those tango lessons, like whatever that looks like, whatever authenticity looks like for you. It begins though with saying no to things, which seems counterintuitive, but it's true. The best part of becoming more of yourself is a lot of stuff falls away. A lot of stuff falls away. And each time you honor yourself, you're building a stronger a stronger connection with who you are. And that probably is going to ruffle some feathers. You should be warned. People in your life might not like this new version of you. They might be really comfortable with the old you that always says yes and who puts everyone else's needs first. They might push back a little bit, but that's okay. You're not only creating space for these, genuine, fulfilling, delicious relationships, but you're also modeling what that looks like to the people around you, your children, your partner, your coworkers, your family, your friends. Everyone else is seeing what that looks like. And you won't be able to get to this, step 5, practicing the authenticity without going through the first 4 steps. Because getting to know who you currently are is a process. You do need to take each step before you can start living authentically. You have to know what authenticity is for you, what that means for you. I do want to be clear that discovering yourself doesn't mean that you need to abandon your responsibilities. It doesn't mean you need to brush off all the people you love. In fact, getting clear on who you are will help you to be more in tune within your relationships. It'll help you show up better because, again, you'll be showing up for you first, which makes it so much easier to show up for everyone else. I mean, think about it. When you know what you want, what you value, what lights you up, you can then communicate that to other people. You can tell your partner what your desires are. You can state your needs clearly, like, this is what I need out of this friendship. Is this something that is doable in this container? It helps you to align your career aspirations with your truth. And then you get to love from this place of wholeness. And this is probably the biggest part. You get to love from this place of wholeness and not this space of need. It's a very different energy to love from wholeness than to love from needing, because it can be a little bit desperate feeling, Sometimes it feels like you're fighting for your life just to get your needs met. But when you become intimate with you, you don't need to gasp for air anymore. You get to be clear, like, these are the things that are important to me. These are the things that I would like to experience in this connection. And then you can have conversations with other people about creating pathways to have those things come to fruition. You also get to hold space for them to speak clearly and articulate their needs so that you can help facilitate those things, right? I want this for you. I want this for you. And this isn't a one and done deal. Like, it's a lifelong thing because you're going to be different versions of yourself. You already have been. But operating from a place of awareness, like, this is who I am, as opposed to if someone asks you, like, who are you? I'm the mother of 3, and, I've been married for 25 years. I started a tech company, 15 years ago. Those are identities. Those are identities and activities, right? Those are things that you do and roles that you occupy, but that's not who you are. Like, who you are is, I'm a feeler. Connection is really important to me. I'm a verbal processor, like, I need to be in dialogue for my best material to come out, right? Like, those are internal things. That is awareness. Again, those are things you can share with another person, as opposed to, like, I'm a coach. Well, yeah, that's my job. That's my job. It's a role that I occupy. It's a space that I hold for other people. But within that role, there is this person who thrives on deep connection, who loves deep conversation, who desires intimacy above everything else, who's willing to be vulnerable, because I know that vulnerability is how to cultivate intimacy. Like, that's who I am, right? So yeah, I want you to commit to working on these things. I want you to commit to working through these steps. That's your homework for this week. Work through the steps. Take your time. Be with each one and be gentle with yourself. And then, I'd love for you to come back and let me know how it goes, because I'm dying to know who you really are. Okay, I'm dying to know. So you can shoot me an email at stacy@stacyherrera.com. I read my own inbox. So let me know what you find out. I really want to know. And remember, love is a journey that begins with you. It begins with you. So until next time, I want you to keep excavating, keep questioning, keep collecting that data, keep showing up. You got this. We got this. We're in it together. I love you.